Good afternoon. Thank you for attending today's session, part of the TAFE and Polytechnic series, Maintaining Resources for Administrators. My name is Rachel Lowe, and I'm a Customer Training Specialist. Please note that today's session is being recorded. You may have noticed that your microphone has been automatically muted. If you have any questions as we're going along, please hit the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen or go ahead and type your message into the chat box. Please don't feel like you need to wait until the end of the session to ask any questions. Feel free to jump in anytime. A bit later on today, you will be receiving from me an email with a link to the recording of today's session, a copy of the PowerPoint slides, and a link to an online evaluation. The online evaluation only takes a couple of minutes to complete, and if you're able to take the time to do so, we do appreciate it. Each one we receive is read through carefully, and we use them to help structure future training sessions. As I mentioned, my name is Rachel Lowe, and I'm an EBSCO training specialist. My background is in midwifery, education, and library and information studies. I'm a certified librarian, and I continue to practice clinically as a registered midwife. I've put together a few objectives for today's session. It is my hope that by the end of the session, you will be able to describe EBSCOadmin and EBSCO Experience Manager. You'll be able to request an EBSCO Experience Manager account, navigate the various apps within EBSCO Experience Manager, such as EBSCO Configuration, Authentication and Access, your search box and URL builder. You'll also be able to describe sites, groups, and profiles. You'll be able to administer accounts and access, apply customizations to EBSCO interfaces, download, email, and schedule reports, and locate and access help and support resources. I've put together an interactive quiz to go along with today's session. It's not displaying correctly since the latest update of Microsoft Office, but I'm just going to go ahead and pop the link to that quiz in the chat box. So if it's something that you would like to participate in, I've put that link in the chat box. It is a bit of a long link, but you just need to go ahead and click on it and it will bring up a quiz. And as we're going along today, you can go ahead and fill that in if you wish to. It is something that is purely optional. So today we're going to be focusing on the portal's EBSCO Experience Manager, which is often referred to as EEM, and EBSCOadmin. And these are the administrative portals where library administrators can customize their EBSCO products. Now I have there the links to access EBSCO Experience Manager as well as EBSCOadmin. And I also have a link to an article that is a feature comparison. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop those links into the chat box as well. And of course, I will be sending these to you this afternoon when I send out the email with the recording of the session and so on. Okay, and that last link will take you to an article in EBSCO Connect, which is our online help and support portal. So I've just clicked on the link and this is where it will take you. And as you can see, there is a document there that looks at the different features that are looked after in EBSCOadmin and EBSCO Experience Manager. So Initially, EBSCOadmin was our only administrative portal and everything was taken care of in there. However, things are slowly moving over into EEM. And so this goes through what is handled where. Okay, so that's something that you can have a look through if you would like to. All right, so if you think that you should have access to EBSCO Experience Manager, this slide goes through the process of requesting access. So you need to go to EBSCO Experience Manager. You can log in either with your personal user account that is unique to you, so a My EBSCO account, or if you have an SSO account that has already been set up. And then you will need to request access to each app within EBSCO Experience Manager. And I'll just show you what that looks like. So when I log into EBSCO Experience Manager, it looks like this. If you're logging in for the first time, you will have to request access to each of these apps, and it will look like this tile looks. So as you can see here, I have not requested access to Bibliograph, but I do have access to the others. So once you request access, it's typically approved within 48 to 72 hours. Okay, and as you can see, once it's approved, there will be a Launch App button, as you saw on my EEM. And I also have a link there to an EBSCO Connect article, and I will send you a link to that in the email that I send you this afternoon. Okay, so this is what EEM looks like. And there are multiple apps there. You have your EBSCO configuration app, your authentication and access app. You can link into EBSCOadmin from here as well. There's also a search box and URL builder app. And you also have your interlibrary loan form configuration and bibliograph, and those may or may not be something that you would require access to. So let's go ahead and have a look at how these work. So if I want to launch my app into EBSCO configuration, once that opens, this is what it looks like. Now I've gone into my demo account here. And as you can see, I have my global settings, and within that, I have an overview where I can manage branding, and I'll just show you what these look like. I can click into them from here or from the side menu as well. So this is where you can control your branding. If you would like to set up your colors on your interfaces to go along with your institution colors, you can certainly do that. You can upload a logo and so on. You can control your language and your region. You can see here I've got those there. And here I also have my language and my date format. So those are my global settings. And then I can go individually. For example, if I go into research or if I look at the overview, this is where you can set up branding for individual profiles. You can configure and customize your search setting, your navigation, your product experience, and so on. So if I go into my branding, you can see here I have this drop-down list, and these are my various profiles that I have set up. Now, this is a demo account, so I have quite a few profiles set up. So here I can set up branding. I can set up different branding for different profiles if I wish to, or I can have them the same and just do it for all profiles. When you go into search, Again, you can have all profiles, or you can have your search settings different for different profiles. And this is where you can control your search bar placeholder text, for example. So by default, it says search articles, books, journals, and more. But if you would like it to say something different, if you think there is different text that would make more sense to your users, you can type over that. Here I have my search modes. I have an AI-assisted homepage prompt, a Peacock search. If you're not familiar with Pico or Peacock, it's a search strategy used in healthcare settings where the P stands for the patient or the problem or the population, the I is the intervention, the C is comparison, the O is the outcome, and the T is the time. And I'll just go ahead and show you if I select a profile here, and let's say I'm interested in my main eHost profile, you'll notice there's a preview button. So as I'm going through, if I want to change things, I can preview them before I publish them. And you have a number of choices here. For example, I can decide whether I want my users to default to an advanced search screen, or I can have them default to a standard search screen. Whether or not I want citation counts to show, so that's cited by. Do I want an advanced search results page, and so on? Whether or not filters to be remembered. With the email sharing, I'll just go ahead and preview the page and point out what that is. If I go to preview, it's going to open up a preview of that profile, and that's what it looks like. And I'm just going to do a really broad search here. Okay, and you will notice that one of the tools available is the sharing tool. And if I share via email, I have several options. I can share a brief citation, a detailed citation, or I can choose my citation style. And so that's what that referred to, the option that we just looked at. That was the email sharing. So it defaults to a brief citation, but I can change that. I'm going to have it default to choosing a citation style. The number of results is 10, but again, I can change that. Let's say I want 50. And with my search results, do I want the full description or abstract to show? Or do I want a brief? But I'm going to go ahead and have a full and so on. Okay, so lots of different options there. Now, again, before I publish, if I wish to, I can preview, and I can preview that in the tab. So again, I'm going to do a broad search. Okay, and when I look at sharing this via email, it now defaults to choosing citation style rather than a brief citation. Okay, so it's all of those kinds of things that you can control within EBSCO Experience Manager. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish those changes. All right, so those are some of the search options I can change. You also have navigation options you can change. So here I can have additional links if I wish to. I can have a home link, research tools, and so on. There's also product experience. And so here I have a custom alert banner text. And when we preview this, you can see that that's where that comes from. Okay, and if I want to change that, let's say library will be closed, let's say Thursday, 6th August 2026 for renovation, for example. And I can go ahead and preview that. And I can see that that is there. Okay, so very simple, very user-friendly to make those kinds of changes. Here, I can work with my dashboard settings. Do I want to have a holds and checkouts area showing? Do I want to collapse the dashboard and so on? Do I want my recommendations to show? I'm going to go ahead and have that show. I'm going to hide my holds and checkouts. And I'll go ahead and publish those changes. All right. And this is where you can also change your language and region if you wish to. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to local time. And I will publish that. All right. You also have integrations here. And if I look at an overview, I can see all of those listed. Okay, so if, for example, you wanted to integrate Google Books for cover images, you can do that here. If you want to set up custom placards, you can do that here, and so on. So you can see there's a big long list of integrations available. You also have your ILS integrations. And so if you use any of these, this is where you can connect your EBSCO products with integrated library systems. All right. Now you can also work with your authentication and access. And I'm just going to go ahead and log in here. So if you go into authentication and access, this is where you can set up and manage your institution's authentication methods. And we can see here, this is where you can control your IP addresses. So you can upload and manage IP addresses for your group. And also if you use SSO. From here, you can also control your Find My Organization settings. And this is not something that I have done, but if you enable that, that is where you can set your institution's address and so on. Also, if there are any trusted email domains, you can enter these here as well. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is to go into EBSCOadmin. Oh, let's just try that again. Okay, I'll have to go in the other way. Sorry, just bear with me a moment. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and log in now because I have um, access to other accounts. That's why it comes into this gold screen. So normally when you log in, this is the screen you would come into. All right, so as you can see here, this is where you can set up various groups and various profiles. So when you subscribe to EBSCO products, you can set them up to like whatever databases you and products you have a subscription to. You can set up various profiles. Now, because this is a demo account, I have several groups set up. I've got a demo group, a main group, and a training group. And I have a whole lot of different profiles set up here. So let's say I'm interested in looking at my eHost profile. If I go to databases, this is where you can see what databases have been assigned to that profile. So when my users log in, they have access to, when they log into this profile, they have access to Medline Ultimate, CINAHL Ultimate, Newspaper Source, and all of these listed here. When my users sign in, um, you can see which of the databases are selected. So I'm just going to go in to that configuration portal, and I'm going to go into that main eHost profile and preview it. Okay, now when my users click here, they can see the various databases they have access to, and you can see that a couple of those are selected by default. Now, the users can select all of them if they want, or just one, or some of them, however they want to do it, and they can search that way. But it is in EBSCOadmin that you select which of those databases are associated with that profile and which are selected by default. So when my users go in, Medline Ultimate is selected by default. Linked Data Dynamic People Pages is selected by default, and Applied Science and Technology Source Ultimate is selected by default. My users can also select these if they wish to. Okay, if I want to make changes to that, if I want to have all of these selected by default, I can do that, and I simply push changes to EBSCO. Okay, and some of those changes go through pretty quickly. Sometimes they take a few minutes. Okay, now previously, um, many of the customizations were handled in EBSCOadmin. Many of those, as we've seen, are now handled in EBSCO Experience Manager. But setting up your setting up your profile, setting up which of your databases are accessed on each profile, that is still done in EBSCOadmin. Now, if I wanted to add some more databases to this, I can. I can search for them here. And as long as I'm subscribed to them, I can decide which databases I want to have associated with that profile. So let's say I'm interested in Australia New Zealand Reference Center, and I'll go ahead and browse for that. Okay, and we can see a whole lot of databases here. And if I wanted to add one of these to my profile, I can simply enable it and select it and make sure that I submit that change. Okay, so now when I view which databases have been enabled on that profile, you can see this one that I just enabled is now visible there also. All right, to create more profiles, if I go to Profile Maintenance, this is where I can see existing profiles. I can very easily delete any of those. If I want to add a new profile, I can simply give it an ID, a description, and so on. So reasons for adding a new profile, you may want to have different profiles for different user groups. That could be one reason. All right, if I go into authentication, now IP address, as we've seen, is now handled on EBSCO Experience Manager, but things like patron files, referring URLs, and personal user accounts, and your user ID and password are still managed on EBSCOadmin. So if I wanted to add a new user ID and password, I can simply do that here. I can decide which group. Let's say I want that for the main user group. I can create a user ID and a password and click submit, and then it's done. All right, so I'm also going to show you the reports and statistics section in EBSCOadmin. And this is where you can access usage reports. So if we go to standard usage reports, you can see here I can look at database usage reports, interface usage reports. I can view my link activity. I can view my login usage report so I can see how my users are accessing the profiles. And I can also access a title usage report. So let's say I'm interested in a database usage report. I want to view all databases accessed in the last 12 months. And let's say I want to view at a profile level. Now I can view this in totals or by year or by month. And I can also view both detailed or totals metrics. I can choose to have this delivered via email, or I can simply download. If you select email, you have the option of setting up regular reports. So I can put my email address here. It defaults to the type of report, but you can type over that. If you wanted to say something different, you can type whatever would work for you. You can select how often you want to receive reports and in what format. And then you can simply click email report and you have set up regular reports. Your other option is to simply create a report for download. If you do that, you go into download reports and I can see it is in progress. Okay, so, and as you can see, this is generated very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that report. All right. Now it is an Excel report, so you do need to open up those columns to see it properly. So it gives me the report name, the institution name, report filters, and so on. Okay, so I can see the different profiles. I can see the databases. And I'll just go ahead and wrap these so you can see what they are. All right, so you can view your database sessions, your total searches, your total requests, your total full text requests, link out requests, feature requests, abstract requests, and turnaways. So you can see the usage that you're getting. Okay, I'll also show you in reports and statistics, you can view analytics, and you can see the different types of reports I can access here. Here, for example, I have a login usage report, and you can see how my users are logging in. The majority with user ID and password, and there's a few personal user account single sign-on, nearly all from desktop, using Windows, and so on. Now you will find with the database usage report, if you scroll down, you can see the names of the databases and you can download that. You can also elect which columns to hide or to show. So a lot of really good information there. All right, there's also the top search terms report, and it shows you the search terms your users are using. Okay, you can download that. You can view the searches from the last month or the last 3 months, and you can select the top ones to view. Now, if you want to view your scheduled reports, there's a tile for those also. If you have access to Flipster, you can run Flipster reports also. And you can see the different types of reports there. All right. So we'll go back to EBSCO Experience Manager because I did want to show you the search box and URL builders app. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and log in here. All right. So you can see here the different, let's say I want to create a search box for Explorer. And this shows you what it's going to look like. So you can select the databases that you want to search. You can create placeholder text. You can also change the heading or the title of the search box. You can elect to include a logo, and you can also show the AI assisted search toggle if you wish. Also have a look at what an EBSCO host one looks like. So from here, I can select which of my profiles this is for. So let's say I want it for the main one, and it previews, this is what my search box is going to look like. I can decide which databases to search, whether it's the default on the profile or whether it's specific databases. And you can also decide whether or not to include certain limiters. So you can have a search box that gives users the option of limiting to full text straight away, and that's something you can have selected by default, and also peer reviewed. And again, you can change the placeholder, text, the heading or title of the search box, and so on. And you can also elect whether or not you want to include that AI assisted search toggle. And you can create your search box there. Now you can see it defaults to search box builder, but if I go to URL builder, this is where you can create URLs. Okay, so you can go ahead and select your databases and so on. All right, so very easy to create search boxes and to build URLs. Now you'll also notice here you have links to EBSCO Connect, to EBSCO.com, to a status page, and a link to EBSCO release notes. But I'm just going to go to EBSCO Connect. And this is our online help and support portal. I will send you a link to EBSCO Connect, and I'm just going to pop that in the search box as well. So this is where you can do a search. So let's say I'm interested in learning more about EBSCO admin. And here you have video tutorials and articles, how to add a profile, how to remove a profile, how to use the self-service feature, and so on. Okay, so this is filterable on the left-hand side. Likewise, if I'm interested in EBSCO Experience Manager, here's an overview. Here's an article about what is EBSCO Experience Manager, how to request access to EBSCO Experience Manager, how to configure IP addresses, and so on. So lots of really great information there. All right, if you go to Learning, this takes you to EBSCO Academy, and you will find here videos to watch. You can also find e-learning courses. If you wanted to do a whole course on EBSCOadmin, for example, you can see there's all kinds of great information there. So if you wanted a deep dive into EBSCOadmin reports and statistics, that's something you can do. And I'll just go ahead and click on that. Okay, and it goes through the different modules that make up that e-learning pathway. All right, there's also instructor-led courses, and you will notice these are in geographical regions. So if we go to our region, you can see there are items listed there. All right. Now, I also wanted to mention in EBSCO Connect, if you are signed in, you also have the opportunity to raise cases and follow those support cases. Okay, so here you can follow cases and reports as well once you are authenticated. But most of the information on EBSCO Connect, you do not need to be authenticated to access. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Well, thank you very much for attending today. I hope you found this session useful. As I mentioned, you will be receiving an email from me a bit later on today with a link to the recording of today's session, a copy of the PowerPoint slides, and a link to an online evaluation. And I'll also include those other links that I mentioned today. Thank you so much for attending and enjoy the rest of your week.